And as I promised, I'll always be here every day, except there is something that comes up. If you are a design student, a designer, someone who is interested in design, in architecture, or you are a researcher in architecture looking for solutions, I want to tell you that you should go nowhere because this is your bus stop. Welcome back to Architect Utibe Akah PhD's channel, and I'm here to solve your problems. As I said, as you've seen the title of this live, it's how you can understand design from the scratch. Now, as soon as you come see this video, what you should do is to drop a comment so that I will know that you are here. If not, I will not know that you are here in this video. So I'll be focusing on telling you how to design from the scratch. Secondly, once you get to this video, like it so that it will reach a lot of people that have the same interest with you. So if you are having difficulties in design, it's because you don't understand one thing, that design is a language. Just like every other language that people speak, design also has basic elements and structure that enables it to come together and make a meaning. Imagine yourself in a land where you do not understand the language where they speak. If you are a French speaking person, or you speak Chinese, or you speak any language, and you land in a place where you don't understand the language, the first few things that you need to know for you to be able to put words together is the alphabet. And after the alphabet, you begin to understand the sound of the alphabet. Then you take the sound and the alphabet, try to make meaning, try to make words out of them. Let me use English as an example. If you have, for instance, you just don't know anything, but you want to call something. You know that a letter C should sound K. That is understanding language and sound. When you finish them and put them together, you'll be able to make words and then proceed to making meanings out of these words. So in design, what is the thing that you should be considering? You should also consider the basic elements and principles that make design to work. And in architecture specifically, you cannot talk about design without understanding the most important and primary element, which is a dot. Someone will ask, what is a dot? You know, a dot is actually a point of reference. It's a center of origin. It is as I said earlier, it's a point of reference. So this is a determinant. For those of you who did mathematics and understand very well that when you plot a graph, the center of it is 0. You know, that's the center of origin from where every other thing takes its reference from. So that is also what you find in your design. For some of us who have already proceeded to using software, you'll find that if you open a software model space, you will see a reference point, and that is a center of origin. You start whatever you're going to do from that point. So that being said, what next is supposed to be understood? Having understood that a dot is a point of reference, the next thing for you to understand is that dot can move. It moves from one point to the other. Let me give you a typical example. A dot can stay at its point and extend. Let's imagine you putting a pencil inside a compass, and you put the pin of the compass down, you know, to inscribe a circle. That point where you put the pin down is your dot, and it is the center of origin. Then you can inscribe. The dot begins to move from one point to the other in your inscription and gives you what is called a line, but that line is going to be curved, right? If you've understood that, in the same vein, a dot, you would understand, is a dot moves from one point to the other and forms what is called a line. So if you are to understand more what a line is a part of a path of a moving dot, meaning that the dot is moving from one point to the other. As it moves from point A to point B, it forms a line. If it changes direction and moves from point B to point C, it still forms a line. You understand? So this now gives you movement from dot to line. Now, if you have a line, imagine it to be a straight line, and the line moves from one point where it is like this. It moves. Let me show you a typical example. Hold on, let me get something and demonstrate this for you. Okay, where is that pen? Where is that pen? Okay, hold on. As I said, the line moves from one point to another. What you will have there becomes a plane. Okay, let's see this illustration. Let's see this illustration. This is a line, right? You've seen that? That's a line. The line moves from the level where it is to another level up. Now see what it becomes. The line moves upward. All right. So if you are here with me, the line moves from the base point where I showed you before to another point up. Can you see the arrow where the line is being elevated with the dotted lines up? And what do you find there? You find a plane. It forms a plane. When it forms a plane, what it means is that you have moved from dot to line, from dot moving from one point to the other, and it forms a line. Then from line it moves upward to form a plane. That is basic. At first, would you have been able to just wake up and understand that that is it? No, but you needed the dot to take you through all this and the line to help you get the plane. And it's not yet done. The plane can also be projected to another point where it will form what is called a volume, and this volume varies. So look at this, which I'm going to show you now. So once you understand this, you will not have much problems. So the plane that I showed you before, which was from here to here, now moves this way, and you see we have a volume. What kind of volume do we have here now? You've gotten a cube. You've gotten a cube, Now with the cube, you should understand that this volume that you've gotten gives you an impression of form. So it means that it could be protruded, it could be, maneuvered from one state to the other, but it now gives you the element of form. However, these that I've mentioned are just the principles. If you are joining me now, kindly drop a comment so that I will know that you are here. And I welcome you, and I also address the issues that might concern you. Feel free to like the video as well, so that a lot of persons of similar interest will get to reach this video or see this video. All right, fine. So you've gotten how we've moved from dot to form. Also, when you get to the form, you should also understand that there are principles of doing certain things. So you have, maybe you want to repeat that same creation that you've created. Maybe you want to alternate what you created. You could also use some principles, like a principle of balance, you know. And when you are using balance, it means that the thing has to, you know, be stable in the eye. And you know, you can also use and in balance you have different kinds of balance: symmetry and asymmetry balance. Yes, if you're, good evening and welcome. I'm sure you have been expecting this long before now, and I'm happy to have you here. What's that specific problem that you want me to treat here? Go ahead and drop it again in the comment section, and I'm going to deal with it. I actually started with talking about understanding design language from scratch. But if you are here and what you want is a bit different, I can address that here. All right. So as I continue, you can now understand that you have gotten to where you have a volume, and you move on to the principles of design, which I've stated here that they are quite numerous. If you just go to your Google search and type principles of design, you find so many of them. But for the purpose of this video, I'm going to list a few that as principles of design you need to understand. Balance is there, you know. Balance is there, repetition is there, progression is there, color is there, texture is there, emphasis, and a lot more that you may have known, or you can also seek to know by a little research. So it's not quite difficult. Okay, for instance, you are designing a room. There is something that one needs to really consider. Now that we've understood the basic language, the next thing is that who are you designing for? The person you are designing for might be that the person requires a space that he is going to perform some activity. So if you know the person you are designing for, you need to also understand the activity that will be performed in that space. If you're, as you are here, kindly like this video so that a lot more persons of similar interest will see this video. So look for where your like is, tap on the screen, your like will show and you like it. All right? Yes, thanks for doing that. So your user has activity that he or she performs, and if you do not understand that about your user, it means that you may not be designing for the person who intends to use the space. Another thing is that the dimensional coordination, that is the anthropometrics of the person that is using that space, is very important. You need to understand that when the person is sitting, you need to understand the dimension, or rather the measurement of the person's body while the person is sitting, while the person is performing certain activity. Let me give you a typical example. Someone is designing a bathroom, And you should understand that in the bathroom, a certain activity go on there, like having your bath. So I'm going to use that as a typical example. And when you are having your bath, there are certain postures that you will be taking in order to clean your body well. Typically is making use of your sponge to scrub your back by yourself. That will require you to keep your hand in a certain position, like this. If you understand this posture, one hand up and the other one at the back. So, and you hold your sponge to be scratching your back. If you take such posture, you need to understand the dimension of the body at such posture, so that the person will need some clearance from the wall. If I'm still waiting for your question while I'm going on, so go ahead, and if you're liking it, keep sending love and likes, so that this will, let me feel your impression about this. All right, the designer needs to know the posture. And if you get the person's posture, you can now say, for instance, this will require at least a 9. If you measure this, you find out that it's up to about 900 millimeters, which is about 90 cm, almost a meter. And it means if you are doing your shower room, you need to consider that you need a bit of space, so that when the person is scrubbing his or her back, his elbows will not be scratching on the wall. Am I making sense there? The same thing applies to every other function or activity that is being done. So what does this bring us to? It brings us to ergonomics, understanding human scale in relation to the space and the activity that they will be doing. If you do not have this at the back of your mind, your design will not solve the user's problem. All right? So in anything you are going to do, you must understand first who is the user, what activity will be done there, and what are the measurements, and as much as possible the furniture or facility that will be provided within such space. Okay, also imagine somebody in the kitchen and you're trying to do a kitchen counter, and somebody would be standing to cut something, and you take your counter to the person's chest. How will the person be cutting? So as someone who is beginning in design, this is very important to understand. While those who have already advanced, it is also important to adhere to it, because it is principle that guides design process. And understand that if you do not follow the right principle that guides the process, your design is not going to solve a problem. Let me shock you. Some of you who would be watching this video you may not have known who you are, but as you have found your way into architecture, studying of architecture or practicing architecture, do you know that you are a god? You would ask me how? You are a god because what you are creating, you are going to make people to do things the way you want them to do them. You will condition them. All right, if you're thank you. I've seen what you have sent. Yes, I'm doing a dissertation on General Hospital, incorporating healing garden as a tool in therapeutic architecture. But I am having issues finding my research problem. Welcome to the spot where your problem is being solved. So if you has hijacked this video, meaning that the title of this video will likely change. If you're, I'm going to wrap up what I was doing, then I will answer your question. Okay, as I was saying, that design ergonomics is actually the heart of design. So now, as a designer, do not fail to understand that you have elements to consider, principles to adhere, and your user to understand, as well as his behavior, activity that he will be performing, for you to be able to integrate all this together to solving a design problem. Remember that design is a process, and that process intends to solve user problem. Now, in line with what Ifiok is also asking, Ifiok is doing a dissertation. Ifiok, I believe and I see that as dissertation you're a master's person, and at what stage that you are might also be interesting for us to know, so that we pick up. Do you already have a topic? If you do not have a topic, I want to believe that this is the best thing to do to find a problem. Okay, let me take you back to a couple of things that I've told people in some time past. I've always said that the problem is everywhere. As long as humans exist, there will be problems that require to be solved. And when you are doing research, your problem is the essence why you are undergoing that research. One of the essence, because in some research at a lower level, which sometimes I call that essay, when you do not have a problem, you are writing an essay, contribute to maybe your ideas to knowledge, but you are actually not doing a research. So when you are doing a research, you are actually trying to solve a problem. And when you do not have a problem to solve, there is no need going in for any research. I would say that you might just be writing essay. So on that note, you said here that you are doing a general hospital, and is it that you want to, or you're already incorporating healing garden as a tool in therapeutic architecture? I'm seeing a lot of keywords here, and we have to bring it to a very limited point. Okay, as I'd always advise you that in this era of technology, you can feel free to use a couple of tools that you have available to you to help you narrow down your knowledge. And I'm sure that a lot of persons have done research on general hospitals. If you have not done your background search on what others have done, I would encourage you that you should go back to your research table or to your study room and find what others have done. Keyword there is hospital, and you're looking for therapeutic architecture in hospital. So what is therapeutic architecture? If we may start from there so that we find where your problem is. Is that what he said? Therapeutic architecture. All right. From what I have here, therapeutic architecture is an approach of designing spaces with the primary goal of improving the mental, emotional, and physical well-being of its occupants. So you want to use your space to improve mental, physical, and emotional well-being of that space. Okay, as I said in my earlier part of this live video, and from what therapeutic architecture is also talking about here, it relates to the fact that you have to leverage on design principles. So it means that therapeutic architecture already has design principles, you know, and those design principles are human centered. What are those things? These are the questions that will be coming to your mind. What are those things that are human centered, that make people, feel relaxed? I can add to this by saying that for me, whenever I get into a space where I find nature, I will actually feel calm. Do you agree with me? If you do, just type yes. If you don't, say you do not. All right. Having said that, it means that if it is human-centered, and it also aims to create environment that promotes healing, what comes to my mind now goes back to biophilic architecture in healthcare. Oh, great. So you agree with me. What comes to mind now, goes back to biophilic architecture, which relates with, how you use the natural environment. And when we say natural environment, it means you have to introduce plants. You have to also include water body. You have to allow that space to have connection with nature. And for you to have connection with nature, it is to build it into nature. You get the point. Waterfall could be a fantastic one, don't you think so? That sound of the water just dropping, I can tell you, it can give somebody a very good effect. So, okay. Now, as I said, biophilic design will help you have connection to nature. That means it will help you incorporate elements of nature such as plants, water, natural light, and views to outdoor. If you're capacity, begin to clap for me. I have told you this before, and I will continue to emphasize. I will continue to emphasize that this is the way to go. Okay, for a general hospital, let's think together. Yes, someone is also here again. I've seen Men Code movement. Men Code, thank you for your comments. I'm doing this because of someone like you and every other person who would want to gain knowledge. Men Code, thank you for your comments. If you're thank you for the smile. And there's another person here that I want to know you. Don't just be in the hiding. If you are here, like the video, drop a comment so that I know that you are here. Okay, while I continue with Ifyok, biophilic design, take note. That is where your research is going to be going towards. So I think that the problem you might want to solve here, let's reason together. What problem do you think is situated around this? I'm asking you, so you have to think about it and drop it here while I'm going to bring something that is going to shock you, There are numerous problems that can be situated around this, and we need to find the one that we want to deal with. But I've given you an idea about biophilic architecture, which has to do with environmental quality. Then another aspect is light and color. You know that in hospitals it can be very horrible that you get into a hospital and you find ash, or you find a purple. And most times the people who paint these spaces like that, they are doing that because they don't want the space to be dirty. Unfortunately, such spaces turn out to be very, very depressing for the occupants of such spaces, right? So I was asking you, what problem do you think is situated? I know you wouldn't have that idea, but I'm going to tell you now, okay? So hold on for me. Yeah, I've got your comment, if you're okay. So I'm trying to find this problem for you, okay, so that you also tell me whether that is what you want to deal with. I've mentioned the first one here, that biophilic design is an aspect you should be thinking about. Another thing is about light and color. Is it that the lighting is poor in places that you have seen, or from what people are saying, or is it that there is no therapeutic use of color? Is it that natural lighting is limited, they are using artificial lighting? Most times some people can have these problems in hospital design so much. A lot of people can have such problem because of trying to put their spaces together. Those spaces end up not having natural lighting, right? Then another one is that yes, if that is very correct. If your space is not well ventilated, I totally agree with you. Spaces not well ventilated. I'm going to list take down this. If you take down number one, a biophilic design, you need to look at whether the spaces that they have are having connection to nature, okay? And are they using things like natural material? You know that if you are looking at things that are having connection with nature, and everything you are seeing is hard, it's not biophilic. Do you get the point? So there should be large areas where wood is used. Maybe you see stones and pebbles, organic materials, that can make people feel more calming and grounded. How are you going to good how are you going to find these problems? There's somebody here that is watching us that I don't know. Please drop a comment. That person, I'm waiting for you to drop a comment. So if you will continue, then I also said that natural light, access to natural daylight. Sometimes you might go to hospital and you find out that there are some spaces, mostly the corridors that divide spaces together. Some of them might not have it. Then another one might also be, the way they use their colors. The colors are not therapeutic. Some colors could also incite a bit of depression, and somebody who is trying to recover might end up having some much more. Okay, fine. These are very fantastic and nice, but I'm now looking at it in the aspect of your work. I'm sure it is both design and research, right? That's what it is, I guess, coming from your perspective or from your institution. I also think that with that, if it's coming from these two perspectives, you need to find a way of solving your problem in architecture. So very good. You have to solve your problem in architecture so that you will not end up doing what the person in occupational therapy would be solving. So imagine you're having somebody in occupational therapy and is trying to use a therapeutic approach. We've talked about biophilic design here. Yes, it means that the spaces generally we need to look at it, but we are going to learn. Then another thing that we have to look at is acoustic. The place where they are located, do we have sound control? Imagine when you are in a ward and you are hearing somebody in the labor room screaming, or maybe somebody who has a health challenge that is so painful, and the person is screaming when another person is there. The person will be feeling that, oh, this is how my case is going to be. So acoustic is also another aspect where we can find our problem. Then that in hospital spaces, uh, when you have the natural environments like birds come around and give you those, soothing sound of nature, it has its own impact in healing. Then look at something like spatial layout and flow. you know are the spaces open, are they spacious, because you might also find spaces that are squashed. But you are talking about general hospital here. So let's look at your study. Are you going to be studying the general hospitals, or are you going to be studying every hospital, to get your data? Why I ask this is that, you know general hospital might have some aspects that they might cover, while private hospital might not even have that. When this facility, some of them were not intended for that purpose and they converted to it. Have you also considered people who run hospitals in 3-bedroom flats? Those also can be the ones that have the high impact. But if we are looking at hospitals that have been built already and you want to solve this, then we have to be very holistic and in looking at this. Another one is privacy, how spaces are quiet. All these things I'm listing are actually basic principles in hospital designs. Safety and accessibility, that could also be a problem. Are there ramps, changes in levels and all those things? Spatial flow and layout and flow, that one also has to do with how you move from one space or from one point to another. Then community and social interaction. Is this hospital taking people away from where they are, as in it doesn't give them sense of community, just secluded or detached from where humans are? And sustainability and health is another aspect where you'll be looking at, can this place, in fact, let me say, applying therapeutic architecture in healthcare facilities. Hospitals and clinics benefit so much from this. They are the primary beneficiaries. Okay, so let me see where this problem can, which aspect we can take it from to give us the best landing. Ifyok, I hope we are making sense here. All right, hold on. All right, I'm with you now. So let's share this together. Somebody has not still dropped a comment, so I do not know who this person is. I have Ifyok, okay. I have main code. I have one more person I'm waiting for. All right. Look at this, Ifyok. Ifyok, let's look at our location of hospital when we are talking about noise. Like where we have the present teaching hospital, you see that where the location is, as much as it is at the urban center, that place is noisy. You can be there and you'll be hearing sound everywhere. And in fact, cars are parked almost everywhere. Do you get the point? And the carbon coming out from cars. So maybe looking at it from zoning perspective, which will take you to spatial layout and flow. Looking at the aspect of spatial layout and flow, as a problem, or looking at the aspect of noise or pollution from other passers-by as a symptom for you to be able to rejig your spatial layout in your design. to be able to solve this problem. So if another one is when patients go to the hospital, sometimes they end up waiting too long before they are being attended to, right? Am I correct? So you may wish to find a way of, decentralizing. Let me give you a typical example of this. Imagine yourself going to a fuel station to buy fuel with your car, and they have two pumps. If you are a researcher and you want to solve that problem, what would you do? First, you would know that the space, or rather there is long queues. That is what you see, that there is long queues in the station. If you go to investigate that long queues, you will find out that one, it might be that the fuel station is located in a small plot whereby they have maybe one or two pumps, or even if it was situated in a small plot, it was not positioned in such a way that there will be, easy flow of vehicles into it and allowing other ones to diffuse into it. So as long as the pumps that are located, or the space in the site, is not big enough to accommodate more pumps, that problem will be there. So if you, in the process of your research, you find out these, but your first instinct, you did not know that the line was not big. It's just that you always pass there and find out that there is long queue. So you want to investigate why there is long queues in the station. And when you go there, the things that you will have in mind to begin to look for is the size of the site where the place is located. You understand? So that now takes us back to what we term here as spatial layout and possibly flow. So for your hospital, if you are looking at solving a problem of long wait times and overcrowding, it means that we have a bottleneck whereby the people who are coming in are more than the people who are serving, or the people who are coming in are more than the space provided. So by design, you will now come up with some other things that you could use to solve this. In developed climes, these problems have been handled in several ways. Some of such ways is maybe using automated system, such that you book a date before you get to the hospital. You book a date, not just waking up and going to the hospital that day, except for cases of emergency. You get what I'm saying? So if that be what you are looking at, solving a problem of long waits, then you will look at what others have done and now relate it with what is going on in the area of your study, whether it is in that line. Please let me know whether this aspect of problem is in line with what you would want to solve, because overcrowding and long wait times is a major problem that we find in general hospitals. And you know how you can find that? You will begin to lay out the systematic approach for doing that. Do you understand? All right. So if I continue with this, I'll say that patient congestion in many hospitals, especially in emergency, okay, you see that's where the problem is. In emergency departments and outpatient clinic, patients often experience long wait hours, and that can actually lead to someone passing on. Let me give you a typical one. If you go to a teaching hospital, trust me, you will hate it, and that's why a lot of people don't like going to a teaching hospital, because from one point to the other, admin and this and that, you see, it makes it quite difficult. So by design, yes, you could think out a way you can use design to solve this problem, and there are a lot of factors you can consider, which we can work on this as you proceed. Another aspect you can look at the problem is navigation difficulties, how you can move from one point to the other, and that is another major problem. People get to the hospital and wayfinding becomes a problem. In fact, recently there was a workshop at Ballet School of Architecture, and it was titled Wayfinding in Architecture. So this is another aspect. The first one we were talking about, therapeutic. Remember, and therapeutic has to do with biophilic, color, natural light, and all those things. But this one now, we are looking at another perspective, which we talked about first as long wait and overcrowding and difficulty in navigation. Okay? All right. Then privacy could also be another one. Some people feel that going to general hospital, especially general wards, they don't have privacy. I do watch in movies, and you see how people get into the maybe someone is being taken to the hospital and he was being pursued by some other person, and he gets into the hospital. Fine, even though it's a private ward, but it's not safe. Somebody could just come in and strangle the person and moves out without anybody stopping. In as much as we see that in movies, I know that it also happens in real life, and that is great. Okay, if I'm just reading this, you say it's in line with what you are solving. So you see that there is now a little bit of clarity on the aspect you should be looking at couching your problem in the healthcare sector, right? If this satisfies your question, I would like to get some more comment. Okay, thank you so much, sir, for the knowledge and question answered. Wow, this is beautiful. Thank you. So I answered your question. I'm happy that I have answered your question, because I had to really take time and take you through this. I'm glad that you like it. So go ahead and recommend this live session that I'll be doing, and much of these videos, for as much as persons that you feel that have this problem, because I'm not just coming here to talk because I like to talk, but I come to talk here because I want to solve problems of as much persons as possible, and that is why I make it a live session. I would have as well just said, let me do a video on finding a problem, but that wouldn't have had you say all these things or giving me your feedback on how you feel. So it's quite interactive for me to find that you've come on here in quite a short time, in less than about 15 minutes, you've been able to get a solution to your problem. So I'm so happy to be the one to help you find this way. All right. So if you at any time have any query, just lay down your questions down. By 10:30 every night, I'll come up here. If I cannot, I will still come and drop a video that I will not be able to spend time that night. All right. So thank you very much for being with me all through to this time. And I want to tell you that the doors are open. Begin to put up, my advice now is begin to put up your problem statement in line with this aspect that we are talking. It doesn't necessarily need to say therapeutic, but look at this aspect that we have talked about where problems arise. Then you now, after that, write your aim, and your aim will be, having seen all these things that are there, you can now tell us what you want to do. If anytime you finish doing that, feel free to send it to me, and I can always drop my contact for you to do that. You can send it to my WhatsApp or my email. All right. Thank you very much once again for staying on, and I want to wish you a very good night. And as you go straight on to your research. Don't sleep over it. Let's begin to look at this aspect and see how you can develop them and bring them to fruition. Okay? If this makes sense to you, just drop your last comment. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Fine. Thank you too for staying on, and have a wonderful night. At this time, I want to sign out from this live video, and for anyone who will be watching me later or will be watching this video later, feel free to drop your comments, and I can also deal with it or take it on in the next live session that will be coming up tomorrow by 10:30 p.m. So if you found this video wherever in the world that you are, feel free to drop your comments, and let's see how we can move from there. So if this was for you, and for any other person that will be coming on, you can learn from these questions. As you listen to the video, if you're watching, go and scroll the comment section so that you can pick up and understand why the live session went the way it was. All right, at this time I have to sign out and say thank you for staying on, and have a wonderful night. Good night. Okay. Oh.